Big Ed here. Today I'm bringing you the Ruger Wrangler revolver. This is a 6-shot, single action only 22 long rifle revolver. And this is modeled after the original Colt single action Army. And this is going to be Ruger's entry level single action revolver. So I just picked this up on Cyber Monday. I ordered it from Kentucky Gun Shop and I got it for $190. I just checked this morning and it was $174 on Kentucky Gun Shop. And today is December 23rd, 2019, so I wanted to bring you this video before Christmas because I think that this is an excellent Christmas gift for a lot of people. Anywhere from a kid, a teenager, your children, a spouse, yourself, anybody. It's definitely affordable, and I've had a ton of fun shooting it. I brought it down to my pit, and I'm going to roll in the shooting footage as I progress along with this video. And this thing was a blast to shoot. So let's go ahead and load up the Wrangler. And it's a 6-shot revolver, so we just opened up our little loading gate, rotate our cylinder by hand, and load it up. And this is just standard Federal 40 grained, lead round nose projectile. The nice thing about a revolver is it'll shoot anything I put into it. And that's it. And that's loaded now and indexed. So this revolver is safe to carry with 6 rounds in it because it has a transfer bar in there, and it also has the safety that goes between the hammer and the transfer bar, so the gun can only go off if you pull the trigger. So it is safe to carry it with 6 rounds in it. So there we go, we have fired our 6 rounds, so let's go ahead and unload it. And to unload this, we'll flip open the loading gate, and that releases our index piece down on the bottom of the cylinder so we can freely rotate the cylinder. So then, grab your ejector, rotate the cylinder by hand, and it's pretty easy to unload. It's pretty standard Colt single action Army style. That's it, and we're unloaded. So we'll go ahead and load her up and we'll give it another whirl. But yes, this is a very affordable way to get into a single action Army revolver, and I can't stress enough how much fun it is to shoot. It's also a good shooter too. I had one jam up on it where the cylinder, I had to remove the cylinder, but that was because the ammo's fault, and I could see the case bulged on the 22 long rifle brass. But I'll shoot some shorts through this and some regular 40 grain, just lead round nose projectiles. But since this is a revolver, it doesn't really require much break-in, and it'll cycle anything you put into it. So, and it does work quite nicely. It's 100% reliable for me. Besides that one little mess up with the ammo. So another nice feature about this revolver, it's small. It's just a little smaller, I feel, than a full size, like a 45 long Colt single action Army. The frame's definitely a little smaller because the cylinder's just a touch smaller. But it makes it, I think, that I could fire it one-handed pretty easily because some of the bigger ones to reach up and grab that hammer is not as easy. So we'll go ahead and we'll give it a whirl here. Yeah, it shoots quite nicely. It's a good shooter. So our next we're going to try one other thing. So this is your regular 22 long rifle. And this is a 22 short. And we'll put both of these up on the camera so you can see the difference here. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to load up the Wrangler with some shorts, and we're going to see how that is. And we're going to take my headphones because I have a feeling I can shoot it just fine with the shorts. And these are subsonic. I think these are around 800 feet per second, and the regular 40s are around 1200 to 1250. So I've got the shorts in here. We'll go ahead and we'll see how these things shoot. Yep, you can feel the difference right away. Yeah, they're pretty accurate though. Yeah, this gun likes shorts also. So as you can see, I took off my hearing protection and I have shorts in here, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to see how loud these are. Do a little single hand. Yeah, it's got a little bit of volume, but it's nothing, yeah, it's about as loud as I'd want to hear. Yeah, this is a lot of fun. Glad I bought this. So I'm back to 22 long rifle in here, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to shoot my target. We're going to see how well I can group this revolver. I'm going to shoot it with two hands. Go for accuracy. Yeah, I'm sure you can see that. It looks like I got, yeah, one flyer down there at the bottom. And then that's a decent group right there, a little to the left. And that might be the gun, might be me. But that front sight might need to be moved over, but not bad. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to group it one more time. We got the 22 long rifles in here. Call that 10 yards from the target. So let's just go over the construction on this and kind of what it is. So basically, let's get up a little closer here. You're going to have your loading gate right there. And as soon as you open the loading gate, you're going to see your indexer on the bottom. I don't know if you'll be able to see that, but it slides down into the frame of the revolver. That way it allows your cylinder to rotate freely. And you can go ahead and inspect that the gun is unloaded, and it is unloaded. The other thing to take notice of too is that Smith & Wesson people will love this, is that the cylinder is recessed. So the rounds, when you place them in there, they sit flush with the cylinder. So that's pretty cool. It's my first revolver I've ever owned that has that feature, and I know that people love that. So okay, so you go ahead, you load the revolver, you're going to close your loading gate, index your cylinder, you can hear it click right there. And since this is single action, all you do to fire it, and there's no safety on this revolver, go ahead, you cock the hammer, and then you pull the trigger and the revolver goes bang. And if you pull the trigger again, nothing happens, because the hammer has to be cocked, because it is single action only. The other thing I want you to take notice of is that there is no spur on the hammer. And you can see the transfer bar up on the top there, and you can also see the hammer safety right there. So unless the trigger is pulled, the gun can't go off, which also means this is safe to carry with 6 rounds in it. You do not have to load one, skip one, and then load the other 4. You can load it with 6 and you're safe. And just obviously, since this gun does not have a hammer, load it and keep the hammer down. And it'll be very safe to carry. And to go ahead and unload this, easiest way I found, and I'll do it for, is basically I hold the revolver up like this so I can see the cylinder. Here's your ejection rod, and that way I can line up the, and you can see it's quite easy. And I'll do a couple close-ups again with some live firing. And that's basically how you empty the revolver, and then you go ahead, reload it, close your loading gate, and index it. And that's basically it. That's your only function for the revolver. To take the cylinder out is pretty easy. So what you'll do is, this little pin right there, you'll push that pin, take out your cylinder pin, open your loading gate, and your cylinder comes right out. So this gun comes apart very easily. It's very simple. There's not a ton to it. And then to put it back together, just reverse those steps. That's it. And you can see there it goes. We're back together. Go ahead and we'll rapid fire this and see how quickly I can get these shots on target. That was fun, yeah. Very nice revolver. Yeah, I think the easiest way to unload this is kind of tip the revolver up like that so you can see the cylinder right there and you can see the ejection rod going down into each chamber and then knock out the empty brass. Funny, I haven't shot a 22 pistol in a long time, and I flinched the first few times I shot this because I've been shooting that 10mm a lot. But I just the flinch is gone now, I think. But yeah, yeah, fun gun. But I basically bought this revolver because of the price point. I've been interested in talking on my videos about, getting into single action armies, and I definitely like them. But, to get a good Uberti or Cimarron, they're going to start at about $450 and go all the way up to, about $700, $750, depending on which model you get and how fancy the grips are and so on and so forth. This gun is definitely basic, but I would say this is probably a Cerakote on this, but it's beautiful. Don't quote me on that, but this nice kind of bronze finish with the black cylinder and just the cheap plastic grips I think is really cool looking. And this is a nice gun. You can also get this gun in all silver and all black. Yeah, I think this is an attractive gun and it definitely feels good. And to talk about the size, I don't have the biggest hands. I would say my hands are about medium. And you can see right there, I got enough room for my pinky on there. And I'm gonna guess that this is probably about 90% of the size of a regular single action army. The cylinder is definitely smaller and the frame's definitely smaller because, since it's a 22, you don't need all that extra metal there. But the barrel's pretty beefy and you can feel that weight out there, and it's definitely not a light gun. I would definitely call this a full-size gun, but since you only have a 22 caliber hole, there's a lot of steel in that barrel. But I would guess the rest of this gun is probably cast, but for 22 it's absolutely fine. And I'm sure the hammer and the trigger are cast parts, but for this price point you really can't go wrong with this thing. So I pretty much will recommend this firearm for anybody that wants a firearm. This is not going to be your best self-defense firearm for a couple reasons. First, it's only chambered in 22 long rifle, so it's going to be a little too light. It's better than nothing, but it's not ideal. Second is because it's single action only. Once you cock that hammer, it does not take very much for that trigger to go bang. To talk about the trigger too, trigger's fine for this. For the price point, it's a very good trigger. But you can feel as you pull the trigger that safety in there moving around, that hammer block. So it's got a little bit of, it's got some take up in it, and you can, but it's not bad. I mean, as you can see, I can shoot this thing very well. I've definitely shot some pretty nice groups, and I do not have the best eyesight. So let's talk about the sights then. Let's see if I can line you up there. Now that's pretty good against the water. So those are your basic single action army sights right there, and obviously they are not adjustable. These are cast into the firearm. The only thing you could do, and probably it wouldn't be worth it with this, you can bend these front blades a little bit. You can also probably knock it off and re-weld it to another spot, but this gun I think shoots pretty close to point of aim, maybe a touch to the left, but I think that could also be me. But this sight picture sight picture's pretty good on it. You could definitely use this as a varmint gun, as a hunting gun. Right now I know that this is the only barrel length Ruger makes, and I believe this is 4 5/8. This is like a traditional size barrel for these revolvers. I'm just gonna go ahead and unload this last cylinder right here. I'm starting to get a little chilly. As the sun slowly starts to get down, just into that target. We'll see if we can get some more good groups up here. So folks, I'm going to go ahead and summarize this thing up. I'm going to pretty much give this firearm overall a 10 out of 10. This is just one of these wonderful firearms, and basically it's because of the price point. So for $175, you can get a real nice revolver, and I'm sure the fit and finish on this, isn't as nice as a Ruger single 6. It's probably 4 times the amount of money as this. I'd like to compare both of those side by side and really see and feel what the difference is. But this revolver works just fine, and it's wonderful. But basically, just based on the price, this gun's a ton of fun. And, I'm going to rate this up there, with like a good pump action shotgun. This where you get so much bang for the buck, like a Mosin Nagant. Those kind of guns, where you just can spend a couple $100 or maybe $300, and you just have so much gun that'll last a lifetime and many lifetimes, just for short money. And and they work great. Do I have $1,000 and $2,000 guns? Yes, and they're wonderful, and I love them. I love them a lot. But how much more do you really get with that than you get with something like this? And this is definitely pretty cool. So if you're looking for any last minute gifts, or if you got some Christmas money or some bonus money from your job, I can't recommend this highly enough, especially if you don't have a 22 pistol of any sort. This is an excellent choice. I believe this would also be an excellent choice for kids to learn on, for even adults to learn on, because of, instead of just jamming a magazine in there and just going, rattling them all off, this one, you got the whole loading gate. You're loading each round in there individually, and then you got to extract each one. But it's just wonderful, and I think it's a great gun to learn on. The other thing I noticed shooting this was my flinch went away. I've been shooting a lot of that 10mm hot loads from it, and my flinch is definitely left shooting this, which was quite nice. But it was really a nice experience to shoot a single action army. Also, since you're not going to go through a ton of rounds with this thing, it'll take some time. It's going to be so cheap to shoot this thing. 22 is cheap to begin with, and this thing will just make it cheaper, because it's going to take. So I shot about 100 rounds in probably a half an hour, maybe 45 minutes with this thing, just kind of shooting, moving targets around and changing the camera angle. But it was quite fun. But folks, if you have any questions about this Ruger Wrangler, any comments, post them below. If you like this video, feel free to give me a thumbs up, and definitely hit that subscribe button. Thanks a lot for watching, folks. Folks, there's a little bonus footage for you. This is my Yamaha. This is bought this in May. This is a Yamaha XSR 900, and I love this thing. This is the 3rd motorcycle I have owned. But let me know if you'd like me to do a review on this, and I definitely will. But basically it's all stock except for the frame sliders you see screwed into the frame. I've got that fender eliminator kit for it that I need to throw on there. But this bike is a ton of fun, and I love it. And it is very fast and very powerful, and it is a wheelie machine. But it's a wonderful machine, and it is about 50 degrees today, so instead of winterizing, I figured I could take it out once a month and just ride it around and enjoy myself on it. And that would be definitely a nice thing to do. But folks, thanks a lot for watching.